My name is Given. I'm an aerospace engineer and I also provide IT support and IT consultancy in my spare time. Today I want to talk about dedicated servers. Many people, obviously, many companies, many organizations don't understand the importance of dedicated servers. I want to make a very short video to explain why dedicated servers are important and what you need to take care of before you actually choose a dedicated server. First of all, if you're a big company, a big organization, if you have a website that has a lot of visitors, in terms of thousands perhaps, then having your own dedicated server to serve the website, to serve its data, to serve its services would be a good idea. For example, imagine that you're a big organization that sells products and services. So you will have your sales force, plus you will have your own client base. So perhaps you can create a website where your sales force can log in separately, your client base can log in separately, so that they can see different parts of your website, interact with the data, upload data, download data, etc. So to do that, you need to have a good dedicated server that can do these without any problems. So, but what are the things you have to be careful of when you choose a dedicated server? First of all, the dedicated server should be in a good data center with high internet connectivity. For example, the minimum speed of the connectivity of the server should be 1 gigabits per second. Anything below that is always problematic, especially if you're serving your website or your data or your app all across the world. The second thing you need to take heed of is that the data center must have enough protections, firewalls, both software and hardware, to protect the server from hacking, DDoS attacks, and all kinds of cybersecurity threats, which can have two consequences. One, your website may be down, but second, and just as importantly, the data of your clients can be stolen. This is also very bad because, as you know, there's a Data Privacy Act in the European Union and many countries across the world. So it's your responsibility to protect the data of your clients, of your visitors. Of course, when you get a dedicated server, you also have to make sure that you get a good control panel. There are different options for that, obviously. If you're using a Linux server, I would say for sure, hands down, take cPanel. Don't take anything else. I know cPanel is a bit expensive, but when you use cPanel, you can easily create your own mail server. You can create FTP accounts. You can install software for your website or your server. You can deploy security measures. You can see your logs, statistics, etc. So it's a very useful control panel. Definitely, I will recommend it. I have 20 plus years of experience, so I've used it all. But of course, if you want to work on a Windows-based server, then you could easily get a Windows server, which can also allow you to deploy websites, deploy data. Uh, you could have Microsoft Exchange installed on it, which will allow you to have your own Exchange mail server. Uh, Getting a dedicated server with Windows, there may be an Windows server, there may be an advantage, especially if you have a local server in your company and you want to synchronize data between the two. Then getting a dedicated server with Microsoft Windows may be Microsoft Windows Server may be a good idea. Of course, we talked about security, we talked about the software, we talked about the internet output. But the most important thing when you get a dedicated server is to get 24/7 support service. Now, there are hundreds, maybe thousands of server companies across the world. Some of them have their data centers, some of them outsource a portion of the data center for their own dedicated server. But the most important thing is this: if you don't get a 24/7 support service, no matter how good your dedicated server may be, no matter how well protected it may be, no matter how well or how fast it may be, when something happens and if you're not able to get service to get that problem mitigated, that can be a problem because especially with websites, when you install a software or when there's some security issue or technical issue, sometimes even a small issue can affect the website from working, or even a small issue can stop the data from being transferred between the panel and the viewer or the reader. So unfortunately, majority of the dedicated server companies, even though they advertise managed servers, reply to you after 12 hours, 24 hours, 48 hours, and they reply in a very generic manner. When you have a very specific problem, you want a specific solution, but they will say, this is done in the scope, or this is a third-party software, or it may be due to this, please take a look at that. So these generic replies may not help you to solve the problem very fast, so make sure you work with a dedicated server company that can give you customized solutions when you have a problem. Now, this may not be important, and getting these other servers, which are more cheaper because they have less support, may seem a better economical choice in the short run. But believe me, in the long run, when something happens and you're not able to get the service you want, then it becomes much more costlier. And remember, migrating from server to server is not something so easy. So when you go with a server company and you're not happy with that company, you want to change it to something else, that's a big, big pain to transfer all the data, websites, clients, etc., from one server to another. So I suggest you do your due diligence well, and either get a good server company or data hosting company or data center, or you can get a cheap dedicated server and hire someone who's professional who can give you 24/7 support on the server itself. Uh, Thank you very much.